It's
UK police have been
2024,
hunting
April
this woman for
22nd.
7 years. They're after her. But mostly, they're after her computers. Laptops that may hold the keys to unlocking the story of one of the biggest scams in Chinese history. A cult of personality. Families torn apart. Marriages destroyed. Life savings gone forever. And at the center of it all, her.
The mastermind of a multi.
Her? Wait,
And at
what?
the center of it all,
She don't even look like a scammer though, chat. Literally, she don't look like a scammer, bro. She like just like a regular person, gang. Like normally, I guess like in America, scammers like they flashy. They got the car, they got the jewelry. You know what I'm saying? She just like a regular person, bro. If I'm being for real. Like if I seen her, I wouldn't even like bat an eye. I would not think she's a scammer or anything.
her.
The mastermind of a multi-billion-dollar Bitcoin fraud.
Multi-billion
This is the story of
dollar?
an operation run from deep within a ghost city. A daring escape, life in outrageous luxury, and dreams of ruling an entire country.
Shout out my boy
It's
Fern,
8 o'clock
man.
in the
He going
morning in the
crazy.
Chinese province of
April
Sichuan.
20th,
For most people,
2013.
the day begins like any other. But then the ground begins to rumble, and a 7-magnitude earthquake rocks the entire region.
New Samsung Galaxy Card. Earn 5% cash rewards on eligible purchases made directly from.
Yeah, I gotta get Prime, bro.
Almost 200 people are killed. More than 13,000 are injured. Across 18 prefectures, hundreds of thousands of homes are destroyed. News of the disaster quickly spreads around the world. Donations begin pouring in. The Chinese charity One Foundation announces that it will also accept donations in Bitcoin.
Wait, this
In just
happened
2
in
days.
this happened in 2013? What was I doing in 2013? I think I was in I was in middle school, bro.
The organization receives a large number of Bitcoins, between 50 and 230, depending on the source.
What?
In the weeks after the earthquake, Chinese state TV broadcast programs about the cryptocurrency. A program called The Mysterious Bitcoin explains what it is, how it works, and its
Bro, how come bro? I mean, I was young, but like, gang, what? China was trading money for Bitcoin in 2013? I had no idea. Niggas could have been up.
meteoric rise in worth. China Central Television, or CCTV, also airs an interview with a man who claims he made a 6-figure fortune through Bitcoin trading. He'll later
Made
become
6
famous
figures
as
through
China's first
Bitcoin
Bitcoin
trading?
billionaire. Bitcoin has officially been around since 2009, but in China, most people are now hearing about it for the very first time. Many are fascinated, and Bitcoin quickly starts gaining traction nationwide. China's main search engine, Baidu, begins accepting it as a payment method. Soon after, so does the online shopping platform Taobao. Later on in 2013, 2 new Bitcoin exchanges emerge. In the months that follow, more and more people in China start buying the cryptocurrency. This sudden surge in demand pushes the global price even higher. And all the hype will turn out to be extremely convenient for one woman in particular.
Damn.
This is Jimian Qian. Her biography is difficult to piece
Jimmy
together.
and
Her
Chin.
reconstruction is largely based on a detailed profile published by the Chinese magazine
That's a
China
very
Newsweek.
unique name.
Right now, it's early 2014. Jimian Qian is 36 years old and lives here in Tianjin, a sprawling metropolis with more than 11 million residents. The city was supposed to keep growing. There were plans for new office towers, luxury apartments, and a bustling financial district. One neighborhood was even expected to become China's new Manhattan. But construction stalls. Many buildings are left unfinished, and parts of Tianjin
I
look
was sure about to
abandoned.
say the
Some start
infrastructure
calling
looks
it a
really
ghost
good.
city. Wages are low in China, and consumer prices are rising fast. In 2014, the country loosens its business registration rules to boost the economy. Entrepreneurs can now register their companies more quickly, and they need less startup capital. The reforms lead to a massive startup boom. Across China, thousands of businesses are registered every day. But Qin is already a step ahead of everyone else. About a year ago, she and a couple of business partners founded a company, UBS International Group Limited Hong Kong. At the time, instead of a real name, she uses an alias, Li Xia. The business has partnered with a company that produces and distributes camellia oil.
Wait, so she used the alias like this early on, so she already knew what she was gonna do. She thought it out so far that she used the alias, bro. That's fucking crazy.
People in East Asia have been using it for things like skin and hair care for centuries. This is what Qian's business strategy allegedly looks like. UBS promotes the camellia oil and advertises group tours to the partner company's camellia production sites. But to be able to actually buy the products, customers first need to purchase a membership. That costs 2,800 yuan. Members who recruit others qualify for extra benefits.
How much is that
It seems
in
Qian herself
American
is rarely
dollars?
seen at the office. Day-to-day operations are reportedly handled by her employees. For a while, business seems to run smoothly. But in May 2013, the Camellia Oil Company ends the partnership. And about a month later, things get worse. The company website starts malfunctioning and third-party payment accounts are frozen. A little later, Qian sends her employees a text message. "Don't worry, I'm collecting money for us." Then police raid the company's headquarters. But Qian is nowhere to be found.
No, she hold them, chat. She literally basically hired all those people under a fake name and then laundered all the money that she was supposed to pay them and pay for the business and everything, and just started, like, I guess she started using it for Bitcoin. Like, that's crazy.
Since making her escape, Qian has been extremely cautious. She reportedly even avoids taking the bus to keep authorities from tracking her movements. Presumably, she'd have to show her ID when boarding public transportation. The UBS venture may have been little more than a way to experiment with different business strategies. She'll go on to use much of what she learned here in her later endeavors. And she already has a new idea. One that will forever change her life and the lives of countless others. Maybe you've had an idea recently. Not one that would change countless lives, or at least not one that would ruin any. But each time you want to get started on it, it just turns into a whole thing. Pick a platform, figure out the information, and make it look not terrible, so you sort of give up. We just launched Roots, our newsletter. We've got a talented team, a developer, and you can start from
Hey,
scratch.
shout out to your ad gang.
Another company, Tianjin Lantian Gure Electronic Technology.
Start
It's
another
widely known
company.
as Lantian Gure, which means blue sky. Qian seems to know exactly what she wants to sell, and to whom. China's home to roughly 200 million elderly people. About 1 in 6 citizens is over 60, and many of them are lonely.
Wait,
In the
how many?
About 1 in 6 citizens is over. China's home to roughly 200 million elderly people.
200
About
million
1 in 6
elderly
citizens
people?
is over 60, and many of them are lonely. In the
Damn,
past,
that's
families
a
often had
lot
several
of
children.
people.
Siblings could share the responsibility of caring for their parents and grandparents. But in 1979, China introduced a one-child policy to help curb its
Yeah,
rapid
I
population
remember that.
growth. From that point forward, fewer children were born. Most parents had just one child, who often had to care for the family's older generations on their own. At the same time, more and more younger people left their hometowns to study or work in major cities. As a result, many elderly people were left to live alone. In 2013, the government responded by introducing a new law. Adult children are now legally required to visit their parents frequently and be attentive to their emotional needs.
Yo, that's actually a really good law because bro, elderly people need love too, bro. You know what I'm saying? You like how much like parents do for their kids, and I know sometimes parents don't do much for their kids, but the ones that do, they deserve love, bro.
For Qian, elderly people are the perfect target. She seems to understand exactly how to exploit their loneliness and their anxieties. Step by step, she begins building a manipulative business empire. Step 1. The front. Qian's company sells a range of health products. One is the Life Bracelet. It has an integrated GPS tracking chip, so whoever wears it can supposedly be located within 15 meters of their current position. In an emergency, an elderly person just has to press the red button and an ambulance will be with them within 10 minutes. The product taps directly into one of older people's biggest fears, being alone and helpless during a medical emergency. That helps build trust in Qian and her company. And if you trust a company with your health, you may eventually trust it with your savings too. Step 2. The plan. Qian isn't really trying to sell health products. To push her actual business model, she hires promoters all across China. Jin claims that Lantian Gure is mining Bitcoin, that it's setting up high-powered Bitcoin mines all across China to generate more crypto units. And for that, she needs money. Step 3. The promise. Jen is looking for investors. She probably uses WeChat to advertise and close deals. Apparently, investors can choose from special financial packages. These reportedly range from 30,000 to 60,000 yuan, or roughly $4,200 to $8,400. The terms range from 12 to 30
That's kind of
months.
cheap.
Often, the funds aren't wired to Qian's firm directly.
But I'm
Instead,
sure
investors first transfer them to local
that's a lot
promoters
of money for
advertising
her.
the service, who then pass it on to Qian. In return, she promises them daily dividends and a 200 to 600% profit for each contract.
What? 200 to 600 to 4? What? Bro, I ain't gonna lie. That's like as like a promoter or like any businessman. That's like opportunity you just feel like you just can't pass up on, bro. There's no way she scammed these people, bro.
Qian and her company seem to have been selling the idea of collective prosperity. Invest for just 3 years and you'll be able to secure the financial future of the next 3 generations of your family. Step 4. The scheme. Qian skillfully rides the wave of Bitcoin frenzy. It helps that many of her investors aren't very financially literate. Her company produces glossy promotional videos promising a life of wealth and luxury in the United Kingdom, a country that carries a certain prestige in China.
一个属于光荣和梦想的国度。
On her blog, Qian posts poems about social responsibility. We must love the elderly with the infatuation of a first romance. Poetry has always been an important part of
that's
Chinese
a
traditional culture.
crazy
Poems are
poetry
meant to
line.
entertain and convey values like respect, family duty, and social order. Maybe that's why Qian's vision resonates with so many people. She also emphasizes that her company would help further China's goal of becoming a global leader in technology. She even claims that she'll one day donate the company to the Chinese government. Her patriotic message lands with investors. But one investor will later claim she deliberately exploited the patriotism of older Chinese citizens. In reality, she went much further than that. It's autumn in Beijing. More than 1,000 people have gathered here today. Many have already invested in Qian's company, Lantian Gure. Others are still considering it. But all of them are here to see the woman behind the business. So far, they know almost nothing about her, only that she reportedly holds a PhD in mathematics and cryptography, and that she works so hard she barely has time to sleep. Qian rarely appears in public. She almost exclusively communicates through the poems she posts on her blog. There are barely any photos of her, and in most of them, her face is partially concealed. Even today, she's wearing a veil. Nobody here
so does
knows her
she come
real
out?
name. Her investors call her Hua Hua, or Little Flower. Qian enters in a wheelchair. Her investors lift her above their heads and carry her toward the stage. They're chanting the company's promise, 3 generations of wealth. Events like this happen regularly, usually inside large, prestigious halls. Attendants usually aren't allowed to bring their phones or take photos or video. Maybe because Qian wants to remain anonymous. After all, she's been trying to stay under the radar ever since fleeing Hefei. The gatherings are massive. There are dance performances, presentations, and speeches praising and vouching for the company.
She
One
is
speaker
still on
is
the
the
run.
son-in-law of Mao Zedong, the late founding father of the People's Republic. Mao remains a deeply respected figure in China, especially among older generations. The atmosphere at these promotional events is frenetic. One investor will later tell The Observer that people were captivated by Qian as soon as she opened her mouth. After her speeches, people would battle their way to the front with their credit cards ready. Another investor says that
Nah, she gotta been saying like some crazy shit. Like she had to been popping her alt. Like literally, she had to pop alt or something again. Cause it's no way like I'm finna just like be like rushing to give a nigga my credit card. Like what?
a bunch of promoters, they'd take something red and persuade you it was white, take something black and convince you it was red. Apparently, there were also private meetings with Qian. Those who invested more than $800,000 were reportedly invited to more intimate events. One attendee says everyone in the room was starstruck. They saw her as their goddess of wealth. Over time, more and more people pour money into Qian's growing business empire. Public servants, school teachers, widows, and retirees. They're all hoping crypto will turn their modest life savings into a fortune. Most are between 50 and 75 years old. By 2017,
Thing is, gang, like I get it, but like if you gonna invest in something, like learn more about it yourself. You know what I'm saying? Don't never just like give your money to people without actually like learning about what you're giving your money for, because stuff like this can happen, bro. And this is so sad to see just so many people, man, just giving their money away.
Qian has attracted more than 128,000 investors across China and collected more than 40 billion yuan, roughly $6.1 billion.
Fucking hell, 6.1 million? Wow, dude. Like that's a lot of money, bro. That like I was not expecting that number, bro. No cap, dude.
But she hasn't been keeping her promise to use their money to create new crypto tokens in her mining farms. Back in 2014, she used an associate's name to open an account on the Huobi cryptocurrency exchange, which today is called HTX, and she transferred investors' money into that account, exchanging it for Bitcoin. At first, her investors receive exactly what they were promised: daily dividends. Anyone who recruits friends or relatives gets even more. One investor would tell the BBC he and his wife were receiving 100 yuan a day, roughly $14. They were so hooked, they directly reinvested this into the company and kept borrowing to invest more on top of it. They didn't know that these payouts weren't actually coming from crypto profits. They were funded by new investors. It was a classic Ponzi scheme.
What? Bro, she just made infinity money glitch, bro. That's fucking crazy.
And it only worked as long as new investors kept pouring in new money. One investor would later say he never suspected a thing. After a few years of this, some investors were invited to visit the company's Bitcoin mines, and the trip inspired some of them to invest even more money. Hundreds of investors have traveled from Shenyang and other cities to Tianjin. The outskirts of the city are lined with warehouse after warehouse. One was built on a vacant lot. On the front is the slogan, Tianjin Blue Sky Gure Bitcoin Warehouse. This must be it. But when the investors go inside, none of the mining machines are working. An employee tells them the company intentionally turned them off to avoid exposing them to radiation. Most of the investors don't question the explanation. One even leaves the site visit so convinced she decides to invest significantly more money. It's only years later that some investors begin to suspect the machines they saw were actually worthless junk. According to reports, they were eventually sold as scrap for 30 yuan apiece.
31,
For 3
and
years,
they're
Qian's
giving her
operation appears to
millions
run
of
smoothly.
dollars.
New investors keep joining, and their money funds payouts for existing members. But in 2017, Chinese authorities finally get suspicious and launch an investigation. The Bitcoin hype is reaching fever pitch, at least among the Chinese public. By now, the country has become one of the largest cryptocurrency markets in the world. But Bitcoin and other digital currencies are also used for criminal activities like money laundering, drug trafficking, and smuggling. They're a risk to financial stability, and they undermine government control over the fiscal system. So Chinese authorities want to crack down on them. They plan to tighten control over Bitcoin mining and trading. From there, they start closing in on Qian's company. Today, the authorities strike a coordinated blow. Raids take place across Tianjin. Lan Tiangure's employees are rounded up, but there's no trace of their boss. Qian has likely been preparing her escape for months. She purchased several forged passports, including one from a Caribbean microstate, and is traveling under a new alias, Yadi Jiang. She also transferred her bitcoins from the Huobi exchange into several private crypto wallets. The wallets are stored locally on her laptop. But as with any cryptocurrency, they don't contain the actual bitcoins, just the digital keys needed to prove ownership and access them. At this point, Qian's wallets hold about 70,000 bitcoins. At the time, they're worth
Bro,
almost
that's a lot of
$400
money,
million.
gang. Oh my god. 400 million. Bro, how do you even get this money back? You can't. You literally can't, bro. You dead ass can't. How do you get this money back, bro? This shit is Bitcoin. It's not cash. It's not it's not in a bank account. Bro, this shit is gone. Is it not? What the fuck?
It remains unclear whether Qian knew the raid was coming, and if she did, who might have tipped her off. Maybe she bribed a corrupt official. Either way, she's on the run for several months, apparently moving from China to Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, and Malaysia. According to London's Metropolitan Police, she eventually boards a first-class flight from Kuala Lumpur to London. On September 16, 2017, she arrives at Heathrow Airport. She isn't carrying any luggage or her laptop. She moves into a mansion in London's affluent Hampstead neighborhood. The rent is more than £17,000 a month. She also opens an account with Harrods, one of the world's most exclusive department stores. Over the following months, she spends more than £90,000 on designer jewelry and clothing. She travels across Europe too, but she carefully avoids countries that have extradition treaties
It's
with
that
China.
first picture. What the
She
fuck?
keeps attracting people and getting them to break the law for her.
What?
Just a few weeks after
Bro.
arriving in London,
You up, nigga? Bro. First of all, I would never do anything like this. But if I was in a situation where, let's say, in some world where I made the same decision that she made, I would have not just kept breaking the law, gang. Like, you're up 40 mil, 400 mil. Like, there's like better shit to be doing than like still like trying to break the law. Like, you've already broken the law. Like, you're gonna get put away for a long ass time. Now you're just adding more and more shit on your time, and now you're leaving a trail. It's raps, bro. It's raps.
Qian meets a woman named Jian Wen. Wen is 37 and works at a Chinese takeaway. The two get along well. Before long, Wen moves into Qian's mansion. Officially, she's Qian's caretaker. In reality, she also becomes her trusted accomplice. For example, Qian sends her to Thailand to retrieve the laptop she abandoned on her way to the UK. Once Qian can access her bitcoins again, the two start spending some serious money.
They would just message about like going to buy jewelry, right? Like, we've had a stressful day. They didn't really say that, but like, once we're done with this, let's cash out the Bitcoin, let's go to Jewelry Street, right? And then the other message was like, obsessed with jewelry.
This is Aisha Down, a journalist with The Guardian. She investigated the story. Wen will later tell the courts that Qian spent most of her time in bed, playing video games and shopping online. As Bitcoin's value keeps rocketing, she seems to be achieving what she once promised her clients, getting rich lying down. She isn't afraid to dream big either. In her diary, she documents her bold plans for the years to come. Qian wants to found her own bank, buy a castle in Sweden, and build a relationship with a British duke.
Yeah, it should never happening, gang. Give it up. Give it up, gang. You're never going to fucking own a bank. Like, with illegal money, gang. It's just not gonna happen.
She also dreams of becoming Queen of Liberland, a small stretch of land between Croatia and Serbia right along the Danube River. The territory isn't officially recognized as a micronation, but its inhabitants consider it an independent republic with democratic elections. Qian has ambitious plans for the 7-square-kilometer region. She wants to build a harbor, an airport, and the world's largest Buddhist temple. In Liberland, Qian would find herself among like-minded people. Its self-proclaimed prime minister is the controversial crypto billionaire Justin Sun, who founded his own blockchain network. He also controls the Huobi crypto exchange, where Qian used to store her bitcoins. In her imagination, becoming a monarch will entitle her to a diplomatic passport and immunity from prosecution. She even sets aside a budget of £5 million to buy herself a crown and scepter. The sky's the limit. She also dreams of the Dalai Lama anointing her a reincarnated goddess. But for now, Qian is still here in London, living in a rented house. Among other things, she claims to run a successful jewelry business. To fund her lifestyle, she converts bitcoins to regular currency, but large deposits would probably make her bank suspicious. So she has to conceal where the money really comes from. In other words, she needs to launder it. And one of the oldest tricks in the book is real estate. So she plans to buy expensive properties to turn her dirty money into seemingly legitimate assets. Chen and Wen start looking for the right London luxury home. They make 3 attempts to buy multi-million-pound properties. The most expensive is listed.
Wait. Is she dumb? There's no way they let her buy these hoes, right? You gotta have like a good like history. No way.
At 23.5 million.
This is more suspicious. Just like if anything, to your bank, just like buying a house without having like actual like deposits or anything like that to verify like where this money is coming from.
But their efforts are hampered by their difficulties converting enough bitcoins into cash, and by British anti-money laundering regulations and their so-called know your customer questions. Questions like these are designed to detect money laundering schemes. The first round of scrutiny often comes from the real estate agent, the second from the bank. Apparently, Wen's answers to these questions are unconvincing, and realtors and lawyers reject her bids to buy the properties.
Like what?
Shortly after, London's Metropolitan Police are tipped off about a suspicious bank account. The money in it is believed to come from criminal activity. The officers decide to take a closer look. Once they have the necessary court orders, they gain access to the account, and their suspicion grows. With reasonable grounds to suspect that the money is dirty, they freeze the account. They also send an email to the account holder. It's Wen. By now, investigators are closing in on her. They know where she lives. They're just waiting for a search warrant. When they finally enter the house, they find 2 people, Wen and an unknown woman. Lying in bed, she claims her name is Yeri Zhang. The officers have no idea who they're really talking to.
So you don't normally live here?
Yeah.
And where are you from? Where is your country?
I think they believed that she was a sick relative and not the mastermind of a multi-billion-dollar Bitcoin fraud.
As they raid the house, the officers find £300,000 in cash and checks.
They just got the money laying around the crib. Like these niggas they're goofy, bro. She's goofy.
They also seize laptops, memory cards, and a large amount of paperwork. But for the time being, neither of the women is arrested. The police search the confiscated computers and find that they contain several crypto wallets. But accessing the wallets and the cryptocurrency they contain requires the correct encryption keys. In the course of their investigation, the Metropolitan Police eventually obtain them. They find over 71,000 bitcoins stored in 7 wallets. It's the largest Bitcoin seizure in British history. But it isn't Chin's entire fortune. In August 2020, police returned to her house for a second raid. But this time, she isn't there. She's gone missing again.
When was the last time you spoke to her?
A few months ago.
If she had been here today, I would have arrested her.
This time, there's just Wen. The investigation takes its course, and 2 years later, she's arrested and charged with money laundering. In 2024, she's sentenced to 6 years and 8 months in prison.
I'm not gonna lie. If that's what they getting, like 6 years, that's a long time, gang. But like in America, she would have got the belt. Yeah, she would have got the belt like 48 years or some shit. Like she got off like easy, if you ask me.
After parting ways with Wen, the fugitive Qin moves into an inconspicuous townhouse in York. Several employees work for her illegally, taking care of her everyday needs. Everyone in the house has to follow a strict set of rules. The staff isn't allowed to use Bluetooth or phones from Chinese brands. They're limited to only certain social media platforms. They can't disclose the house's address or even log into its Wi-Fi network. And they're strictly forbidden from taking photos or videos of Qin. All these requirements are neatly laid out in confidentiality agreements later obtained by the Metropolitan Police. Anyone who breaks the rules faces hefty financial penalties and will be fired on the spot. At some point, Qin also seeks the help of a Malaysian national named Seng Hock Ling. According to Ling himself, the two first met in Germany in 2019. He'll later testify he believed Qin was a legitimate businesswoman. But Qin plans to use him to once again launder money. British authorities have seized most of her bitcoins, but she still controls other crypto wallets worth around £62 million. She gives Ling money to purchase properties in Dubai in her behalf. but Ling is closely following Wen's criminal trial. By now, he knows that both women have been involved in criminal activity, and maybe he's beginning to realize that he's much more involved in their schemes than he'd like. One day, he starts Googling,
How much is considered money laundering? How much is considered money laundering? It's crazy.
February 2024. For 6 years, Metropolitan Police investigators have been monitoring Chin's crypto wallets. The bitcoins inside them are now worth roughly
bill?
1.5 billion pounds. In all these
Wow.
years, there hasn't been a single transaction, no indication that Chin has touched her fortune. Until now. She just transferred 8.2 bitcoins to another exchange account. The account is registered in Ling's name, and the investigators embark on a manhunt. They want to know whether Ling and Chin are in touch. The trail leads them to Scotland and northern England. Then one day, Chin suddenly appears on surveillance cameras. By now, they're convinced
Ooh-wee.
Ling is working for her. They could move in right now, but there can't be any loose ends this time. They need airtight proof that Chin's bitcoins are tied directly to the fraud case in China. They want to know for sure where exactly the bitcoins came from. A blockchain specialist helps them follow the money through its transaction history to see who received the bitcoins when. Chinese authorities provide them with a list of bank accounts connected to the scam. The investors Chin deceived are said to have deposited money into 294 different Chinese bank accounts. They received
Damn.
payouts from 48 different accounts. With that information, investigators re-examine the electronic devices they seized in their first raid. And voila, many of the account numbers provided by the Chinese authorities also appear on the confiscated laptops. Now the connection is clear, and Chin is directly linked to the fraud in China. At last, a judge gives the Metropolitan Police the green light. Chin
Damn,
hears
I wonder how
something.
much time
There's
she
someone
gonna get
inside the
for this.
house. Moments later, someone kicks in the door to her room.
Police!
After 7 years on the run, they finally found her.
You're under arrest. You're going to be arrested for money laundering, Section 329 Proceeds of Crime Act.
And this time, there's nowhere left to go.
Look at her face.
Crime Act.
And this time, there's nowhere left to go.
She look like she just seen a motherfucking ghost, king. Hey, that's just, she like she just woke up and bullshit. She knew this shit was over. That's why she just be laying in the bed, bro. That shit crazy.
Chin and Ling's trial ends today. The hearing is public, but the courtroom is so small that only a handful of people fit inside.
I sat on the floor at one point. There wasn't a lot of room.
Aisha is one of the few journalists in the room. She followed the last days of the trial for The Guardian.
It was just a fairly sober atmosphere.
Chin sits inside a glass dock. From the public gallery, it's difficult to get a good look at her. Throughout the proceedings, she doesn't say a word. Everything she wants to say, she communicates through her lawyer. She remained largely silent when the police questioned her too. Her only statement was that she was the victim of false allegations made by the Chinese authorities. She also felt that she would die soon, and that this had been her last chance to spend some money.
The thing I noticed was that the defense's statements really didn't land at all. And the defense sort of spoke briefly in the last day of the proceedings, talking about how their client had been a model prisoner.
Chin's lawyer later claims that she and her company only ever wanted to help people accumulate wealth, but the reality is different. Some of her investors ended up in poverty. One tells the BBC that he sometimes had so little money left he would have to survive on a single pack of instant noodles for 15 days. Another says Chin's scheme destroyed his marriage and led to him being estranged from his son. Others say they contemplated suicide.
Damn, she done run so
Ling
many
is
people
sentenced to
out.
4 years and 11 months in prison. Chin gets
fucked
11
up,
years
bro.
and 8 months.
It seemed like, from my impression of her, that she maybe had
Wait,
hoped things
how
would go a
much?
little differently.
How much time did she get?
She burst in of her.
Years and 8 months.
11 years and 8 months for. Wait. So she got $1.5 billion and she got 11 years? Bro, if this is America game, she would have got 100 years, bro. No bat. 100 years. Is bro, or she would have got like 58, 48, or she would have got something high. She wouldn't have got no 10-year sentence, gang. She gonna get out and she gonna be cool. Like, and if she was smart, she probably put up like $500,000 somewhere.
It seemed like, from my impression of her, that she maybe had hoped things would go a little differently. She
That shit is
burst into
crazy.
tears, or it looked like she was bursting into tears. It looked like she was upset by the verdict.
After the ruling, Qin's lawyer emails a statement to the press. Bitcoin pioneer Ms. Qin, once the world's largest female BTC holder, accepts her conviction and the mistakes that led to it. Many of her former investors feel betrayed, and some demand compensation. In China, some investors appeal to the Supreme People's Court, the State Council, and other national institutions, not to condemn Qin's actions, but to ask for an explanation as to why her company was shut down. One still sees Qin as the goddess of the crypto world. He would die for her, and he wishes she'd return. We tried to speak to some of the investors for this video, but almost everyone we contacted turned down our interview requests.
What do you say? He said, I have contacted a female victim who is suffering from cancer and is feeling desperate. However, said said she said unless we could guarantee she gets the money back, she doesn't want to do the interview. I think we cannot guarantee, and it might not be ethical to do an interview as an exchange. So I am trying my very best to contact with other victims. I'm going to talk to the male victim later today who lost about, whoa, that's a lot of fucking money.
Only one woman agreed to talk, but she had a condition. We had to promise that we'd help her get her money back. Apparently, a few people did. This article says Chinese authorities used confiscated assets from Qin's company to compensate some former investors. They received a small percentage of the money they put in, but it remains unclear whether all the victims in China will ever recover their investments.
That shit ruin people's
First,
lives like
they have
that.
to prove that they actually invested in Qin's company, and that may be difficult since many deposits weren't sent directly to her, but to the accounts of local promoters operating on her behalf. For now, the seized assets remain frozen in the UK. British law classifies them as recoverable amounts, meaning authorities must first determine whether victims are really entitled to compensation. Only then can the state touch the money. Decisions on the applications are expected later on in 2026.
That's a lot of money just sitting there, bro.
Who knows? Maybe some of Qin's investors will get rich after all.
Bro, like that's $1.5 billion that's just sitting that could be circulating in the world and just in the economy. Like, bro, damn, dude. She really fucked up a lot of people's lives. That shit is crazy. And she only got 11 years and 8 months. That shit don't even make sense to me, bro.